Undercover Brother was one of the first web series to score a movie deal way back before most of the world had any idea what a web series even was. The reason for that was probably the subject matter. Whereas many early internet-specific comedy projects were mired in inside jokes about web culture itself, Undercover Brother was a pointed animated satire about race, cultural identity, and media centered specifically around the changing cultural perceptions of black action heroes, specifically the so-called blaxploitation genre of the 1970s, which had been at the leading edge of a wave of unprecedented visibility for empowered black presence in popular culture in its heyday, but by the 1990s had been largely relegated to a place of ridicule, harshly judged for stereotypes, calcified late in the genre's lifespan, and waved off by proponents of so-called respectability politics as demonstrated in comedian Robert Townsend's seminal indie comedy Hollywood Shuffle, where the protagonist, taking a role in a blaxploitation-style film, was framed in the context of selling out to nefarious white Hollywood. The 2002 movie adaptation of Undercover Brother, then, is essentially a rebuttal against that general sentiment. While also poking its share of fun at the genre and its trapping, the film is also very sincerely about rehabilitating the reputation of the blaxploitation era and say-it-loud 70s-style black popular culture in general as a cultural touchstone worthy of celebration and a more sympathetic look in its own right, starting from a tongue-in-cheek story conceit laid out pointedly in the introduction that the suppression of the same is actually a nefarious scheme by the villains of the piece.
Vibrant leaders emerged and black culture reached its high point, influencing all facets of American life. But progress slowed in the decades that followed. Black culture began to lose its distinctive flavor. And as the millennium drew to a close, disaster struck. These seemingly random events were in fact orchestrated by the man, a villain obsessed with turning back the clock on race relations.
To that end, the story follows Eddie Griffin as the main hero of the original web series, a vigilante superhero who infiltrates white America in the guise of quote-unquote safe black pop cultural archetypes like ultra-assimilated young professionals or kindly old service workers, who is in actuality a blaxploitation-style superhero working to defeat the man from within, hence the Undercover Brother. The film is styled as an origin story, which ends up meaning that it has a little too much plot for its own good, wherein Undercover Brother is introduced to the Brotherhood, a secret organization that shares his same goals, but who also initially chafe at his old-school approach and decidedly anachronistic funky persona. Appropriately, the team is comprised of more modern Hollywood black hero archetypes, including Chi McBride as the Chief.
I'm getting too old for this shit.
Anjanae Ellis as Sister Girl, Gary Anthony Williams as Smart Brother, Neil Patrick Harris as Lance.
Shit. What can I tell you, man? Affirmative action.
This was about the decade before Neil Patrick Harris came out, by the way, not only as a gay man, but as the coolest fucking guy on the planet. So at the time, it was kind of a shock that Doogie Howser was so goddamn funny in this. Perhaps most infamously, the hero cast is rounded out by Dave Chappelle as Conspiracy Brother, a character that was, I promise, a lot funnier back before we found out that Chappelle was pretty much just playing it true to life, as it turned out.
Let me tell you something about the word good, brother. Good is an ancient Anglo-Saxon word. Go-ah, meaning the absence of color.
The main storyline concerns a plot by the man's field leader, Mr. Feather, Chris Kattan, in the only context where Chris Kattan has ever been remotely funny, to prevent a Colin Powell-esque general from becoming the first black president by brainwashing him into instead quitting politics to open a chain of fried chicken restaurants that will be in turn used to spread Feather's brainwashing drug to the wider black population.
Introducing the Nappy Meal from G.E.M.s.
This chicken is the bomb.
At the General's, we do chicken right on.
Yeah, it's an edgier movie at times than you might be expecting. In any case, Undercover Brother is dispatched to dig up information on the plan by receiving a Clockwork Orange-style crash course in white culture, but finds himself in danger of not only being thwarted in his mission, but permanently turned to the, not dark side by the man's ultimate weapon, Denise Richards as White She-Devil, or as she's introduced by Feather,
Black man's kryptonite.
I wanna be bad, make that look so good. I've got things on my mind.
You know, I get the cultural reference point at play here, but I'm pretty sure circa 2002 Denise Richards had that effect on pretty much everyone. In any case, it all comes down to a battle for Undercover Brother's essential identity and the Brotherhood coming around to a broader view of their own mission through association with him, in part by following his example.
Let's go.
Why? So you can tell me what a sellout I am again?
Oh, I don't judge people by how they dress or what music they listen to. But I remember a brother who wasn't afraid to be himself, who taught me to follow my own funky path.
Culminating in an all-out assault on the man's secret headquarters that's strong on both slapstick and genuinely exciting action beats, including one of the best pop music needle drops in the entire canon. Looking back, it's kind of incredible that Undercover Brother got away with essentially smuggling some fairly pointed humor, especially in what was still very much the can't we all just get along era, about race, identity, and culture into theaters disguised as something more like a black answer to Austin Powers. Eddie Griffin ultimately turned out to be something of a limited instrument as an actor, but his persona is perfectly suited to playing a character who has to constantly turn on a dime from being a comedy buffoon to something like an actual badass. Ellis, McBride, and Williams are basically playing their respective strong, positive black role model caricatures completely straight, which only makes it funnier. The cartoon silliness that pervades the whole affair lets some fairly cutting gags play out amid what only looks like a safe mainstream comedy.
Name one thing the Republican Party has done for black people.
Jackson. Anton Jackson. And no, not one of the Jackson 5.
I named two things lately.
The NBA really instituted the three-point shot to give white boys a chance?
Absolutely. Simply press the button on this side of the watch. It delivers a rather liberal spritzing of hot sauce. One blast should be enough to make Caucasian food edible.
So the entertainment industry really is out to get Spike Lee. Is that right?
He had sex with a white girl, that's what.
Oh, was it everything I dreamed
It was
of?
good. And OJ really didn't do it.
This was only the second feature film for director Malcolm D. Lee, who had a pretty solid career otherwise as the director of the Best Man movies, Welcome Home Roscoe Jenkins, and this year's Girls Trip. Also, it must be noted, it's pretty remarkable even now that even something that looks like a mainstream comedy was so blunt and upfront about having villains who were motivated completely and without irony by simple racism.
I want the White House to stay white. Eliminate him!
And for better or worse, its conception of modern-day white supremacy, mainly as dorks playing businesswear dress-up and mincing flamboyant weirdos, turned out to be depressingly on point. Undercover Brother is nowhere near a perfect movie, especially considering how the plot bounces around between subplots in Act 2, but it's a much better, smarter, and more prescient movie than it gets credit for, and fans of more recent comedies covering similar themes like The Boondocks, Black Dynamite, and Black Jesus, who may have missed it the first time around, would do well to check it out, even though Universal, for some reason, hasn't bothered to give it a proper Blu-ray release. Ahead of its time and very, very funny, Undercover Brother is a real gem. Hey gang, here's a question that keeps coming up. If your handle is moviebob, where are your movie reviews? Well, my old reviews are in a lot of places. You'll find many of them on my YouTube channel, but you'll find the brand new ones on geek.com, an awesome site that's also your one-stop news source for science, TV, gaming, technology, nerd culture, the works. You can find all my reviews directly by going to geek.com/author/bchipman, because that's my real name, and you can get regular updates on all my reviews and all of geek.com's other great content by signing up for their kick-ass newsletter at subscribe.geek.com. And don't forget to also subscribe to the Geek.com YouTube channel, where you'll find the videos that accompany my reviews and tons of other great content too. Remember, that's Geek.com, the Geek.com newsletter, and Geek.com on YouTube. Make sure you don't miss out on all the latest Moviebob reviews. You can also check out my own new website, Moviebob Central, where you'll find my blog, links to all my work, and shop for my books, ebooks, and future Moviebob products. And please remember to like these videos, share them with all of your friends, and subscribe to this channel. Thank you for watching another Moviebob production.